to take criminal legal action against collaborators in Sulu claims. Prime Minister to meet district officers to discuss poverty issues. Salam Malaysia Madani, you're watching Malaysia Tonight with me, Shuhaida Arifin. The government will not hesitate to take legal action against any parties, including Malaysians who give any form of support to or collaborate with the Sulu claimants. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the Royal Malaysia Police (PDRM) had started investigations against the Sulu claimants, the arbitrator and other related parties under Section 124K of the Penal Code for the offence of sabotage.
Kerajaan juga akan membuat bantahan terhadap sebarang bentuk pembiayaan oleh pihak ketiga, third party litigation funders, yang menyokong penyalahgunaan proses yang telah dimulakan oleh pihak yang membuat tuntutan.
He told the Dewan Rakyat this today when giving an explanation on the claims made against Malaysia by 8 Philippine nationals claiming to be descendants of the Sulu Sultan. The Prime Minister said all awards issued by arbitrator Dr. Gonzalo Sampa had breached international public policy because they were against the principle of diplomatic immunity, jurisdictional immunity and sovereignty. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said there's no evidence suggesting the Philippine government's involvement in the so-called Sulu Sultanate heirs claim on Sabah.
Setakat ini tidak ada bukti penglibatan kerajaan Filipina dan ini saya patut tegaskan di sini. Saya juga ada perundingan 2 kali dengan Presiden Marcos Jr., Bombong, dan perkara ini tentu kita singgung, tetapi dia tidak melibatkan kerajaan Filipina. Kita, pendirian kerajaan Malaysia, tegas. Mereka tahu. Jadi walaupun hubungan masih baik, dua hala, tuntutan masih ada, tetapi tidak menjejaskan kepentingan Sabah sebagai suatu wilayah merdeka berdaulat bersama Malaysia.
Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is expected to hold a meeting with all district officers nationwide next week to discuss, among other things, efforts to eradicate hardcore poverty in the country. Deputy Finance Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Maslan said it was the government's effort to address the issue of poverty in the country, especially in rural areas. Datuk Seri Ahmad also added at the same time the government has approved RM750 million in Budget 2023 to eradicate hardcore poverty this year, with the allocation channeled to the Ministry of Economy to implement 3 new programs, including providing jobs to certain groups. The government is also providing business training to enable them to be independent so that they are not too dependent on financial assistance.
Kita ada 900 juta ringgit lebih kurang untuk penjaja dan peniaga kecil pembiayaan melalui Bank Simpanan Nasional. Setelah mereka dilatih untuk menjadi usahawan, mereka perlu diberikan bantuan-bantuan tertentu. Ada bantuan amanah ikhtiar Malaysia, kerajaan memberikan bantuan. Begitu juga tekun tabung ekonomi kumpulan usahawan niaga tahun ini dalam bajet 330 juta. Di BSN saya dah sebut tadi lebih kurang 900 juta untuk penjaja dan peniaga kecil, dan kumpulan ini perlu diberi latihan terlebih dahulu, kemudian barulah mereka boleh berniaga.
He said this in a response to a question by Pasir Putih MP Datuk Dr. Nik Muhammad Zawawi Saleh regarding the government's poverty eradication efforts this year. Meanwhile, Bank Negara Malaysia BNM is reviewing the Pelindungan Tenang Voucher PTV program after the scheme, which was introduced in 2021, recorded low claim rates. Dato' Sri Ahmad Maslan explained that efforts to help the B40 group will still be done through various other social protection initiatives such as the My Salam program and PK B40.
Bukan kita meninggalkan terus PTV ini, iaitu pelindungan tenang voucher ini. Apabila kita kata Bank Negara Malaysia membuat kajian, daripada 8.7 juta orang yang sepatutnya menerima voucher ini, yang diuruskan 4.9 juta orang dan klaimnya baru 0.01%. Baru 490 orang gitu yang mendapat faedah manfaat daripada 354 juta insurans. Jadi terlalu sedikit yang dilindungi dengan PTV itu. Oleh itu kita meneruskan My Salam.
PTV was implemented in the year 2021 and 2022 during the COVID-19 pandemic, which was meant to provide insurance and takaful coverage for B40 families. Through the initiative, every eligible recipient will receive a voucher to purchase Pelindungan Tenang products, including takaful life insurance and general insurance. The Economy Ministry is expecting the procurement of the remaining 4,900 vending machines targeted this year under the People's Income Initiative IPR program will be completed within 2 months from now. Its Minister Rafizi Ramli said the ministry is currently in the process of selecting and evaluating qualified and capable applicants through an ongoing open procurement process. The ministry wants to ensure that these facilities are available in public places as the demand for these low-priced ready meals is highest in public places such as campuses and hospitals.
Proses itu mengambil masa kerana kita kena melalui perolehan secara terbuka. Jadi Kementerian Kewangan telah meluluskan perolehan seterusnya, iaitu untuk menjemput semua syarikat-syarikat yang layak dan berkemampuan untuk menyediakan 4,900 mesin yang seterusnya. So in terms of our timeline, we are confident we will be able to match the planning this year, which is 5,000 machines.
He said the first 100 machines have gone through the procurement process and will be completed this month. The Kelantan State Legislative Assembly will be dissolved on 22nd June to pave the way for the state election. Its Menteri Besar Dato' Ahmad Yaakob said the state government would send a notice of dissolution of the State Assembly to the Election Commission (EC) for further action.
Oleh yang demikian, Kebuah Duli Yang Maha Mulia Sultan Muhammad ke-5 dalam menjalankan kuasa yang diberikan di bawah Pasal 2 Perkara 46 Undang-Undang Perlembagaan Tubuh Kerajaan di Kelantan, bahagian yang pertama telah mengampuni perkenan untuk membubarkan Dewan Negeri Kelantan.
Selangor, Pulau Pinang, Negeri Sembilan, Terengganu, Kedah and Kelantan did not dissolve their respective state assemblies by the 15th General Election GE15 last year. Leaders of the states, however, agreed to do so within the last 2 weeks of June to enable state elections to be held simultaneously. Next, Malaysia Vision Valley 2.0 draws 15.6 billion ringgit in investment.
Kecemasan, boleh saya bantu?
Hello, there's been a motorcycle accident here. Maybe an elephant ran it over.
Sir, there is fire accident at the address number 5 Jalan Tembikar Shah Alam.
PGO from FRT Shah Alam, there was no fire accident here. Over.
MERS 999. You Use it wisely.
Agreements and collaborations for the catalytic project development of Malaysia Vision Valley MVV 2.0 in Negeri Sembilan is estimated to be worth around 15.6 billion ringgit. According to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, the unity government is constantly focused on supporting economic development in Negeri Sembilan. The Prime Minister's tax speech was read by his Deputy Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof at the MVV 2.0 Catalytic Project launch ceremony.
Mewujudkan lembah aerokasa NS ataupun NS Aerospace Valley NSAV untuk dijadikan sebagai pusat industri pembuatan kapal terbang yang mensasarkan pusat pemasangan kapal terbang ataupun final assembly line yang dilengkapi dengan supply chain ekosistem bersebelahan lapangan terbang antarabangsa Kuala Lumpur KLIA bakal melonjakkan penguasaan Malaysia di dalam industri ini yang pada masa kini sekitar 5%.
Various development concepts have been planned, including Wilayah Pintar, High Technology Industrial Zone and Semiconductor Valley. A total of 54 One Malaysia People's Housing Program Terima projects have been completed, 22 currently under construction and 10 in the planning phase. Deputy Local Government Development Minister Akmal Nasrullah Muhammad Nasir said that among the 22 projects under construction, 13 of them are classified as Terima SIG projects.
Sebanyak 2 projek telah siap dibina dan telah menerima CCC, namun masih dalam proses pemeriksaan dan pembaikan kecacatan bangunan sebelum unit kediaman dapat diserahkan kepada pembeli. Jadi prosesnya walaupun dapat CCC, sebelum kita serahkan yang disebut vacant possession dengan izin VP, projek itu juga kita perlu pastikan dalam keadaan yang paling baiklah sebelum diserahkan. Manakala sebanyak 4 projek kini dalam proses penyerahan kunci yang dibuat secara berperingkat bermula pada 13 Jun, iaitu daripada semalam.
He also informed that the establishment of the Abandoned and Sick Projects Task Force is meant to monitor and find solutions to overcome the issues. Akmal Nasrullah was responding to a question by Alustar MP Afnan Hamimi Taib Azmuddin. Vietnam and Malaysia have set a bilateral trade target of $18 billion by the year 2025. Deputy Director of HCMCT Investment and Trade Promotion Centre, ITPC, Tran Pulu, said the city will continue to improve its business climate and streamline administrative reform, including creating favourable conditions for Malaysian investors. The ITPC under the city administration regularly organises activities to support city businesses to promote trade and investment and expand export markets. Vietnam and Malaysia have vowed to strengthen cooperation in tourism, culture and science and technology, among other sectors. Malaysia is one of Vietnam's 10th largest trading. Bilateral trade reached nearly $14.8 billion last year, with Vietnamese exports to Malaysia worth $5.57 billion and imports $9.1 billion. As of the end of March, Malaysia invested in 329 projects in HCMCT with a total investment of near $4.9 billion, ranking 6 out of 116 countries and territories investing in the city. Still ahead, 2 dead after Japanese cadet opened fires on colleagues. A new military recruit shot and killed 2 fellow soldiers and wounded a third at a training range in central Japan, with the 18-year-old suspect detained at the scene. According to the Ground Self-Defense Force (GSDF), the shooter is an 18-year-old Self-Defense Force candidate who joins the military in April. GSDF said the 3 victims had been tasked with training new recruits, including the attacker at the range, without further elaborating on the relations. Local police spokesman told AFP of the suspect, whose identity is being held for now, has been charged with the attempted murder of a 25-year-old soldier. The spokesman said the cadet fired a rifle at the victim with the intent to kill. National Broadcaster NHK reported the casualties were a man in his 50s and 2 other men in their 20s. Details of the casualties' identities have yet to be officially confirmed. India has suspended cargo handling in the western Gujarat state's Kandla port and evacuated at least 3,000 people in preparation for approaching cyclone Biparjoy. Some, including children, were now sheltering in a repurposed auditorium hall in Grantham city. Biparjoy, a very severe cyclonic storm, is expected to make landfall tomorrow evening between Manvi in India's Gujarat and Karachi in Pakistan. According to the India Meteorological Department, the cyclone is expected to make a landfall with a maximum sustained wind speed of 125 to 135 kilometers per hour, gusting to 150 kilometers per hour. The state government said 8 districts in coastal Gujarat are expected to be affected, adding fishing operations in the region have been suspended until Friday, while schools have declared holidays. Italy prepared to say farewell to former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi, with thousands of people expected at the billionaire's state funeral in Milan. The ceremony for Berlusconi, who died on Monday, aged 86, will be held in the city's Gothic Duomo Cathedral and shown live on screens in the square. Berlusconi, adored and loathed by Italians in equal measure, had been ill for several years, though he remained the official head of his right-wing Forza Italia party, a member of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's coalition government. Italian President Sergio Mattarella, Meloni and fellow coalition partner Matteo Salvini, head of the far-right League, were expected to attend the funeral. While the European Union will be represented by its Economy Commissioner Paolo Gentiloni. Large wreaths in the colours of the Italian flag stood along the front of the Duomo, where the ceremony was to begin at 3 p.m. local time. Flags were lowered to half-mast on all public buildings from Monday in tribute to a leader whose influence extended well beyond politics. Parliament was suspended for 3 days, and the government declared a national day of mourning for Wednesday, the first time for an ex-prime minister. At least 3 people were killed and 13 wounded in a Russian missile attack on the southern Ukrainian port city of Odessa early on Wednesday. A spokesman for the region's military administration said Russia fired 4 caliber missiles from a ship in the Black Sea, adding air defenses shot down 2 of the missiles. Odessa has been bombed several times since the start of the invasion, and in January, the United Nations Cultural Agency UNESCO designated the historic center of the city as a World Heritage in Danger Site. A Chinese naval training ship arrived in Manila today, its last stop of a regional friendly tour, amid growing unease over Chinese maritime activities in the South China Sea. The vessel named Qi Qiguang is a giant training vessel larger than a typical destroyer. It departed from Brunei on Thursday as part of a 40-day trip, which has included stops in Vietnam and Thailand. At the end of its trip, the ship and its crew of 476 Navy students and officers will have passed through the Yellow Sea, East China Sea, South China Sea, the Gulf of Thailand, and the West Pacific. The Caroline Tunnel boring machine responsible for digging the tunnel on Line 18 of the Grand Paris Express between Palaiseau and Orly Airport has arrived at the station after excavating around 6 kilometers of rock in a year and a half. There are now 700 meters left to dig to complete the line, which is due to open in 2027. In sports, SAHIH's name missing from BWF's top 10 world ranking list. Stay with us. The country's #1 men's single shuttler Lee Zijia paid a heavy price for losing in an early round of 3 major tournaments as his name was missing from the top 10 players in the list released by the Badminton World Federation BWF today. Zijia, who was in the 10th spot previously, slipped to 11th spot, while China's Li Shifeng moved into the 10th spot. Denmark's Victor Zalsen maintained his position at the top. Zijia is among 15 athletes listed in the Road to Gold program that is aimed at winning the country's first ever gold medal in the Olympics, namely the 2024 Paris Olympics. But Zijia's performance in recent tournaments has been disappointing to say the least. Today, Zijia, who competed in the 2023 Indonesia Open, suffered another early exit after going down 17-21, 13-21 in straight sets to India's Lakshya Sen in the first round. The country's other singles shuttler Ziyong remained in 21st spot. Meanwhile, the country's #1 men's doubles pair, Aaron Chia Sowiik, climbed 1 spot higher than their previous standing to take up 3rd spot in the BWF World Ranking list. Young national rider Daniel Shahmi Ahmad Shahril has been chosen to replace national Moto3 ace Sharifuddin Azman, who's injured in the German Grand Prix that will be held this week. ZK Racing said the 20-year-old Daniel Shahmi will continue to race in the Moto3 category of MotoGP World Championship as the replacement rider for Sharifuddin. This will give Daniel Shahmi his first experience competing in the World Championship. It said Daniel Shahmi is also competing in the FIM Junior GP Championships and the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup this season. He performed admirably to be placed 8th in the race 1 before finishing 15th in the race 2 in the Junior GP in Jerez. On 9th June, Sharifuddin, better known as Damo, fractured his left ribs after he skidded and was thrown off his machine during the second free practice session at the Mugello International Circuit in Italy. The inclusion of cricket in the Malaysia Games Sukma 2024 will definitely serve as an added boost towards ongoing efforts of developing grassroots talent. Malaysian Cricket Association MCA President Muhammad Iqbal Ali Kasim said the Sukma is a critical platform in the development journey of budding young talents in Malaysia. As such, MCA hopes to leverage on this to scout and retain the country's best future talent by the time cricket is contested in Sarawak next year. It lauds the inclusion of cricket alongside 4 other sports that will be contested in the 2024 Sukma Games in Sarawak as an important step in unity and development. Apart from cricket, the Sukma Supreme Committee meeting had decided that softball, chess, kabaddi, silambam will be the additional sports that will be contested in Sukma 2024, scheduled to be held from 17th to 24th August. An ailing Kyrgios made a short-lived return to singles action following knee surgery when he was beaten by China's Yi Bingwu at the Stuttgart Open. Kyrgios, who had not played since he was forced to withdraw from the Japan Open last October, was beaten 7-5, 6-3 in the first round match, which lasted just 1 hour and 10 minutes. Kyrgios looked to be struggling physically from early in the match and at times struggled to move. His mood turned sour in the first set, with complaints about the colour of the towels, the bounce of the grass court and a shortage of sideline water. But it was the coloured sponsor towels on court that got the famously fiery Australian steaming. The loss still featured 15 aces from the big serving Kyrgios, with the 23-year-old Wu hoping to improve his own serve as he gets more used to grass. Kyrgios is due to compete next week on grass in Halle, Germany, where he lost last year in the semi-finals. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on Wednesday marked the one-year-to-go milestone for Euro 2024 in a competition he called a home game for Europe that was an example of sustainable organisation. Germany will host a tournament between 14 June to 14 July 2024 across 10 cities with no new stadiums required to be built. Scholz, holding up a shirt with the slogan, "A home game for Europe," was accompanied by Interior Minister Nancy Faeser, Germany Football Association DFB President Bernd Nordhoff and Tournament Director Philipp Lump, among others, in the Chancellery Garden and with the trophy in front of them. Germany has an abundance of venues that regularly host international events, from Bayern Munich's Allianz Arena to Dortmund's Signal Iduna Park, both of which will be renamed for the tournament. Cologne, Stuttgart, Frankfurt, Düsseldorf, Hamburg, Glenskirchen, Leipzig and Berlin will also host matches. This will be the first major football in the country since the 2006 World Cup, which sparked a wave of enthusiasm across the country and is fondly remembered as the summer fairy tale. Germany also hosted the European Championships in 1988. The 24-team tournament's finals is on 14 July in Berlin's Olympic Stadium. Kylian Mbappe has never discussed extending his contract with Paris Saint-Germain beyond next year, the French superstar told AFP in a statement the day after he sent a letter to the club confirming he would not take up an option to remain at the French champions until 2025. The statement said the club were informed on 15 July 2022 of his decision not to activate an option to extend his contract, which ends after next season, for an extra year, and the only aim of the letter was to confirm what had already been spoken about previously. Kylian Mbappe and his entourage confirm that this matter has not been discussed since over the course of the year, except a fortnight ago to announce the sending of the letter. Mbappe's letter to PSG comes a year after the 24-year-old France striker signed a new deal to stay at the French champions, turning down an approach from Real Madrid in the process. According to sources with knowledge of the discussions, PSG were surprised that the letter was leaked and do not envisage letting Mbappe leave for nothing. That means either renegotiating the contract or selling him in the transfer window. All right, so that's it from us this evening. In our top story, Malaysia to take criminal legal action against collaborators in Sulu claim. Join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. We leave you with a glimpse into Harry Potter world ahead of theme park opening in Tokyo, located in Nerima Ward. The park was built on what was a 30,000 square meter site of Toshi Mine Amusement Park, which closed for business in 2020. I'm Syuhaida Arifin, Malaysia Madani tekad perpaduan penuhi harapan. Thank you for watching. Thank you.